everyone. This is Karen.
Welcome, everybody. This is Shane.
Today, we're looking at part one of the truth behind treasured fairy tales. And the vocabulary words are associate.
Associate.
People associate Canada with cold weather, but it can get quite hot in summer.
True. Innocent.
Innocent.
Debbie has such an innocent face that her parents can never stay mad at her.
Like this.
Oh, that's so innocent.
Some. Jim asked to borrow a large sum of money to get his car fixed.
Revenge.
Betty
won't rest until she gets her revenge. Scary.
Oppose.
The
president was challenged by a politician from an opposing party. So we're talking about, fairy tales.
Yeah, so fairy tales, when we think of a fairy tale, usually...
I love fairy tales.
Yeah, it's quite fun. It has a happy ending. It's kind of light. It should make you happy.
That's right.
But in fact, a lot of fairy tales are a little bit dark, aren't they?
I guess so. I think the one that we're going to talk about today, it's called Pied Piper...
Of Hamelin.
That's right.
Yeah, or just call it the Pied Piper. And everyone's kind of familiar with the idea the Pied Piper places. Pipe?
The flute?
I was like Pied Piper. Yeah. And so he plays the flute and leads a bunch of rats out of the city.
That's right. And then people in the town, they actually agree to pay him a large sum, like a lot of money.
After he did it. But in fact, after he really did it, they didn't pay him.
So he was a little bit upset.
So he got his revenge by playing his flute, not his pipe,
and
luring the children out of the city.
And the children were never seen or never heard from ever again. That does sound pretty scary.
That's pretty creepy. But the scarier part is this is kind of based on a true story. They really believe that basically this thing happened, and the ending, they're not quite sure. Was it just children that were led away? Or were they led away and killed? Or was it the whole town was led out of the town and we imagine something bad happened?
Okay, it does sound really creepy.
Pretty dark, right?
I know.
Okay, well, let's learn a little bit more about this truth behind this treasured fairy tale.
Ooh, enjoy.
The truth behind treasured fairy tales. We usually associate the phrase once upon a time with a light, whimsical bedtime story. However, reality is often much grimmer than the innocent stories we grow up listening to. Here are the true stories behind some popular fairy tales.
Hi everyone. Today's lesson is called The Truth Behind Treasured Fairy Tales, Part 1. Hello, my name is Jeff.
I'm Kim.
Today, we're going to be learning the truth. We all know the stories. We probably heard them growing up, and you did too. We heard these fairy tales maybe before going to bed. And we all remember them fondly. We treasure them. But do these stories really make sense? Well, today we'll be breaking that down. What's the truth behind these stories?
We're about to find out. But first, our article.
We usually associate the phrase once upon a time with a light, whimsical bedtime story, like a fairy tale read to you before you fall asleep. But are the true stories behind these light, whimsical bedtime stories? Are they also light and whimsical? Perhaps not. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the first vocabulary word of the day, the verb associate.
Here we have associate. Associate means to show the relationship between two things and how they're connected. For example, people associate Canada with cold weather, but it can get quite hot in the summer. Usually when you think of some place like Canada, you think it's pretty cold. It's pretty far north.
That's like that's that icy country, right?
Yeah, there's a polar bear walking down
polar bear
street
there
in the
you
morning.
go.
But actually, it can get hot. So this association with cold weather might not always be true.
So, like I said before, light whimsical fairy tales, perfect for children, but Is the truth also light and whimsical?
Well, however, reality is often much grimmer than the innocent stories we grow up listening to. Sounds dark.
Well, the word grim sounds dark. That's what the word grim refers to, something that might be dark and unsettling. Anyways, though, we have the word innocent to talk about. It's an adjective. Here, when we're talking about an innocent child, let's say, we're talking about a child who doesn't yet know right from wrong, okay? And when I say that, what I mean is that they're not yet capable of really doing anything bad or wrong, okay? They can't really know the difference between good and evil or something like that. Not quite yet. They're not yet capable of being worldly yet, let's say. Now, the word innocent can also mean not guilty, but that's not quite the case here. For example, Debbie has such an innocent face that her parents can never stay mad at her.
How about your daughter?
Yeah, just look at the kid. She didn't do anything wrong. Look at her. She looks like a little angel, a little cherub.
And it turns out they actually did do it. You all know that. I'm sure you've done that before.
They did it gleefully. Oh, that's
Always.
the worst. Yeah.
So here are the true stories behind some popular fairy tales, and we'll tell them to you after the break.
But not until then.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。同学们从小到大应该都听过不少童话故事吧？那很多故事的开头都是从前从前，在很久很久以前。那么一听到这种故事开头，我们往往都会联想到是那种很轻松又很异想天开的床边故事。不过呢，有些童话故事的背后呢，它的真实故事是很令人沮丧的。我们这2天的课文就是要揭露一些童话故事背后的真相。好，我们先来看2个单字 ，associate 或是念作 associate。这个动词表示使、联想、使什么相关。Associate A with B 就表示把 A 和 B 联想在一起，使 A 和 B 有关。那么 innocent 它是形容天真的、单纯的。那有时候小朋友做错事，他有一副很天真无辜的样子，就很像那种可爱的小天使，让人舍不得骂。这时候 Jeff 老师提到 cherub。cherub 就是指那种艺术作品里面常出现那种胖胖啊又很可爱那种小天使，长得很憨丁，然后还有一对小翅膀的那种天使。老师刚刚还有用到 gleefully 这个字 ，gleefully 这个副词呢，它表示高兴的，那常常是指幸灾乐祸的那种意思。再来看补充单字 grim 它是用来形容令人沮丧的、阴沉的或是阴暗的。这时候老师还有用到 unsettling 这个字，它是拼作 unsettling，unsettling 它是形容令人不安的。接话课文中。
The truth behind treasured fairy tales. The Pied Piper of Hamelin. In this tale that dates back centuries, a man in a colored coat lures all the rats out of the town of Hamelin with his flute. The people in the town agree to pay the piper a large sum if he helps them, but they go back on their word. The piper gets his revenge by lifting his flute to his lips and luring away all the children of the town. They are neither seen nor heard from again.
You want the truth? Can you handle the truth? That is the question, but we're getting to the bottom of things today and next time as well as far as fairy tales are concerned. Fairy tales, light, whimsical tales that you can tell your kid to make them fall sound asleep. They are light, whimsical tales, but are the true stories behind these tales light and whimsical too?
Sometimes the origins of some very beloved fairy tales can be a bit grim.
And dark.
Yes, and we're about to find out in our first one, The Pied Piper of Hamelin. In this tale that dates back centuries, a man in a colored coat lures all the rats out of the town of Hamelin with his flute.
What a nice guy. Ancient pest control. He gets rid of all the rats. What a great fellow. The people in the town agree to pay the piper a large sum if he helps them, but they go back on their word.
Ooh.
Big mistake.
Big mistake.
He has control of the rats. He who controls the rats controls the rats, and that should be enough. That should be enough. Anyways, here we've got the word sum to talk about. Are we talking about math?
We are not, but that's
Okay,
another
good.
way to use the word sum. A sum is just any amount of money. It can be a large sum, means you have a lot of money. A small sum, not too much. So Jim asked to borrow a large sum of money to get his car fixed. Ooh, he better pay that back.
Yeah, if he doesn't pay me back, I'm gonna be mad and I'm probably going to want revenge. Like the piper, the Pied Piper.
Yeah, after the townspeople did not pay him, the piper gets his revenge by lifting his flute to his lips and luring away all the children of the town. They are neither seen nor heard from again.
That is neither light nor whimsical, and that's the fairy tale. We're not starting off on a good note here. We're talking about things like luring children away and also revenge. Revenge. Yes, revenge is the next vocabulary word of our lesson. Revenge. This word is a noun. When we're talking about revenge, we're talking about getting even with someone, getting back at someone, okay? If you take revenge on someone, you get back at them for something they've done to you, okay? You get back at them and you get even. You act like Betty. Betty here, it says, Betty won't rest until she gets her revenge. She's gonna get even. She won't rest until she does.
Betty must be really mad about something.
Betty,
I wouldn't mess with Betty.
Extraordinarily angry. This isn't Betty White we're talking about. This is Betty Black.
If it's Betty White, I'm
Like
even
Night.
more scared.
Yeah. It's true.
Well, in our next part, we
famous.
will see the next tale, how it plays out and how it might get even darker in real life.
More on the Pied Piper after this.
有些童话故事背后的真实故事是很黑暗的哦。像第一个要介绍的故事是 The Pied Piper of Hamelin 花衣魔笛手。好，这个故事里面有一名男子，他就是吹笛手，他用长笛把所有的老鼠引诱离开了 Hamelin 这个城镇。那么镇上的人本来同意要付他一大笔钱财来作为答谢，可是他们却违背承诺。接着呢，那一位吹笛手就把长笛拿到嘴唇边，把所有的孩子都引诱离开这个城镇来作为报复。后来就再也没有人见过或是听到他们消息了。好，来看两个单字 ，sum 这个字可以表达总数，那也可以用来表达金额或是款项。那么 revenge 它是表达报仇、报复，是个不可数名词。我们顺便补充两个片语哦，我们可以用 get back at somebody 来表达向某人报复，那也可以用 get even with somebody 来表达报复某人，找某人算账，讨回公道。好，我们刚刚说再也没有人见过或是听过他们的消息，这时候文中是用到 neither 什么什么 nor 什么什么来连接词性相同的字词，去表达既不怎么样也不怎么样。我们如果用来连接动词的话，这两个动词的时态必须一致。如果是用 neither A nor B 来当主词，那么动词是要配合离它最近的主词 B 要跟它一致。好，那我们来看两个例句哦。第一个例句是He neither smokes nor drinks. 他不抽烟也不喝酒。有没有看到 smokes 和 drinks 这两个动词时态一致 ？Neither Amy nor her parents like stinky tofu. Amy 跟她爸妈都不喜欢臭豆腐。那动词是要配合离她最近的主词 her parents， 所以我们是用 like 而不是用单数动词 likes。接回到课文中。
The truth behind treasured fairy tales. While most agree on the fairy tale's ending, there is much discussion on what really happened. There is an inscription in Hamelin that states that 130 children were led out of town by the piper on June 26, 1284. One theory suggests that all of the citizens of Hamelin, not just the children, were forced to move to other parts of Europe. Another suggests that the piper lured the children out of town to be killed by an opposing religious group.
Okay, so before the break, we started learning about the Pied Piper of Hamelin. A light, whimsical tale. No, not at all, really. And get this, we haven't learned the truth behind the tale yet.
Yeah.
The fairy tale itself is dark.
Right.
The truth can only be worse.
That's what's scary about it.
Yeah.
Let's find out what the truth is here.
Yeah, while most agree on the fairy tale's ending, there is much discussion on what really happened. There is an inscription in Hamelin that states that 130 children were led out of town by the piper on June 26th, 1284.
So Hamelin is a real place.
And they put a number on a lot of things here. 130 kids disappeared, were led out of town a really long time ago. Now, who did it? No one knows for sure, but one theory suggests that all of the citizens of Hamelin, not just the children, were forced to move to other parts of Europe, which is not good, but doesn't sound so bad as the alternative.
That's true.
Violence against children's terrible.
Making the move is way better than killing
They
them.
migrated. That's acceptable.
It was the time.
But another theory is, the other theory is dark. Another theory suggests that the piper lured the children out of town to be killed by an opposing religious group.
Ooh, that's definitely worse. That's way worse.
Yeah.
We'll just pretend that they moved away.
Yeah.
There you go. Now, I oppose the idea that they were all killed. I'm against it. I'm opposite it. I don't agree with it. If you oppose something in the against meaning of the word, that means you don't like it, you don't agree with it. If you're opposite, then you might be from two different political parties. As we see, the president was challenged by a politician from an opposing party. This is the other party. In a lot of countries, there are only two parties that are dominant. And so the president's in one. The opposing party is the opposite.
There you go. Here in Taiwan, there's the blue and the green, the KMT and the Green Party, the DPP, I believe it's called.
Yes.
Anyways, folks, with that, today's lesson is now in the books, and it's time for us to say bye-bye.
那一位吹笛手真的有把所有的孩子都拐走吗？课文就写到说，有一个说法认为 Hamelin 这个城镇上的所有镇民，所有的这个居民呢，不光是孩童，全部都被迫搬离到欧洲的其他地区，他们只是迁徙到别的地方而已。那另外一个说法则是说，吹笛手呢把孩子引诱出城镇，让他们被一个对立的宗教团体给杀害。哇，这个说法好可怕哦！我们先来补充一下 ，Jeff 老师用到 migrate 这个字 ，migrate，migrate 动词，它是表达移居或者是迁徙的意思，像动物的迁徙也可以用它来表达。好，那么课文单字 oppose，它表示反对、抵抗或是对抗。它的现在分词 opposing 可以用来形容它是对立的。另外，课文写到说，一个说法怎么样怎么样，另一个说法则是怎么样怎么样。这边它是用到 one 什么什么 ，another 什么什么来表达一个怎么样，另一个怎么样。好，我们在没有限定范围的人事物当中，要去列举两个单数名词的时候，这时候就是用 one 和 another。如果你要再列举第三个，我们会用 still another。那在这样的用法当中 ，one 或是 another， 它可以当代名词或是当形容词用。例如 ，She met several people at the party. One was Lisa, another was Kathy, and still another was Brent. 她在派对上面认识了好几个人，一个是 Lisa， 一位是 Kathy， 还有一位是 Brent。那这边我们是没有列举完哦，只是提出三个，其中3位而已。 好，那我们顺便补充有限定范围的用法。在限定范围的人事物当中，要去列举其中2个单数名词时，我们要用 one 什么什么 the other 怎么样怎么样来表达一个怎么样，另一个怎么样。那需要列举第3个的时候呢，我们就会搭配 one, another 还有 the other。例如 She met 3 people at the party. One was Lisa, another was Kathy.And the other was Brent. 他在派对上面认识3个人，一个是 Lisa， 一个是 Kathy， 另一个则是 Brent。我们就把3个都列举完了。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学们别走开，马上回来哦。
Here's your change and receipt, and you also get a 1-point sticker with that.
Fantastic! I needed one more exactly. Is it okay if I exchange my points now?
No problem. What would you like?
I'd like the coffee mug, please.
All right, that will be 45 points.
Sure, here's my point card.
See you next time!